Hello everybody, welcome back to It's Current Year for another quick battle ladder replay today on the Ash Plains map. I'm playing the Tomb Kings led by Settra. We are going up against the Vampire Counts who are being led by a Strigoi. I'm not sure if it's a Ghoul King or a Vampire Lord because they are different. So we'll get into the map and we'll have a look. So for my opponent's forces, some Skeleton Spearmen out on the flanks, 2 units of zombies, 2 White Kings, which I really like, both with Scabscrath, so good for clearing out chaff infantry and low armor infantry and that kind of thing. He has a unit of Crypt Ghouls as well as the Konigstein Stalkers, so they actually cost exactly the same. Both some poison attacks. I like the inclusion of poison damage in the frontline fight. The Sternsman, obviously one of the better infantry RORs going around, I think. Charge defense, regeneration, good anti-infantry bonus, and decent stats. They just hold the line and sort of just soak up a lot of damage. 2 units of Blood Knights in the back here, as well as a Vargulf. And for the Lord, we have, the Strigoi Vampire Lord. So obviously, I think he's the better choice than the Strigoi Ghoul King. The Ghoul King of Usharan ability gives him a real burst of hit point regeneration, some armor piercing buffs. He's also taken the damage resistance on the Opal Amulet as well as the Power Stone, Command of the Unliving, Invocation of Nehek, as well as Spirit Leech. So he hasn't got a lot of summons, but obviously he's not a real sort of casting lord, but he's pretty beastly in combat, and obviously on the Terrorgeist has a decent anti-large bonus. So there's the Vampire Counts force. For my own force, I have 2 units of Skeleton Spearmen on the far sides of the engagement, as well as the King Nekesh's Scorpion Legion. 2 units of Nehekara Warriors. I included them basically just to cut through chaff. They kill they kill zombies, they kill Crypt Ghouls, even Skeleton Warriors and that kind of thing very quickly. Obviously, given they with their anti-infantry bonus, they're not sort of, if they can be isolated, they can be worked down. Like, they lose 1-to-1 to Graveguard quite considerably because obviously they have pretty terrible melee defense and not a lot of armor as per usual for the Tomb Kings. But they're a good little chaff clearing tool. 2 units of Skeleton Warriors as well out on the flanks, as well as 2 units of Tomb Guard with halberds. And I am bringing the Necropolis Knights here. And I went the regular variant because I did have obviously the Sepulchral Scork is here as well, the Eyes of the Desert, but I do have the Settra the Imperishable with his where is it here, the Jaf's Incantation of Cursed Blades, which I think when you overcast actually gives an anti-large bonus, but I wanted just the sort of the better stats generally. I mean, they're still armor piercing, and these guys obviously have an anti-infantry bonus, so they can cut through a lot of infantry very quick. But I sort of wanted to just go make them be a little bit more versatile. The halberd variant have quite considerably lower stats. So yeah, maybe it was a mistake, and we'll see as we go along. But yeah, Eyes of the Desert here with obviously their armor-piercing missiles and their anti-large. Also Stalk, so can sort of pull an ambush. And I had some leftover cash, so I just have some Nehekara Horsemen in the back here. Like I said, my Lord is Settra. He's up on the big War Sphinx. He's taken Wrath of Pachara, his natural ability, but Nero's Incantation of Protection and Jaf's Incantation of Cursed Blades. I haven't taken his item, the Blade of Pachara, so he's just rocking his normal attacks. But he's we all know Settra's obviously a bit of a slayer, a bit of a beat stick himself. So as the lines draw close, we'll sort of see how it all unfolds. The Blood Knights are going to be a pain. My Necropolis Knights and the Eyes of the Desert are going to have their work cut out from there, but have also got the Tomb Kings that can sort of protect, be a bit of a buffer to fly around. Obviously a bit of spearmen as well, that kind of thing. So yeah, plenty of tools to deal with them. Good early Spirit Leech going down from my opponent. On the Eyes of the Desert, he has obviously flown overhead and spotted them, so their stalks have been taken out. Also committing with a breath attack right out of the gate, so some pretty serious damage going into into the Eyes of the Desert. He did take out a unit model as well. And they are going to return fire now. Nothing the Strigoi Vampire Lord won't heal through. So the front lines are starting to meet. Obviously, the White Kings are going to be pretty crucial here with their Scab Scraths. I do sort of outnumber in the infantry fight, so as you see there, I managed to see that, and I managed to get a Halt command down, but two Scab Scraths going down. Tomb Guard don't take a lot of damage for it, and the King Nikesha Scorpion Legion were able to sort of mitigate the most of it. But yeah, the Sternsmen, that's probably not a fight that the King Nikesha Scorpion Legion are going to like. But I am hitting the front line here with my Eyes of the Desert. I think I actually overextended trying to get an attack, a shooting order into the Varghulf. So they're going to pull back. Same with the Necropolis Knights. I'm seeing the Blood Knights coming in, and I'm happy to sort of pull back through my own lines here. Another Spirit Leech going down, this time on the Necropolis Knights. We see obviously the Blood Knights out here charging into Skeleton Warriors. I'm kind of happy with that at the moment. They can waste their time out there. And I'm just waiting for an opportunity to sort of commit Cetra. There is going to be a Crypt Ghoul summon coming down on this flank. Crypt Ghouls will do pretty well against Skeleton Spearmen 1-1 obviously, but I am coming around here. I'm looking to get a charge in on these Blood Knights, but I have overextended a little bit with my Necropolis Knights here. So the Wrath of Petra going down here, clearing some room as the Eyes of the Desert sit back here, but the Cetra at the moment is just getting ganged up on a little bit by the Varghulf and the Strigoi Vampire Lord, but I do manage to work around the flank here and get my Necropolis Knights in on the Blood Knights. I've also given them the Incantation of Protection just to ward off any damage, and they're doing a real number on these Blood Knights, so I'm really happy at this stage with this fight here. I'm seeing obviously the potential for a recharge here. Obviously, Nehekara Horsemen will lose this fight comfortably to Blood Knights, but I'm just buying time. I want to clear this unit off completely. I don't want Invocation to bring models back. There's another Spirit Leech going down here, but the Nero's Incantation, when it's overcast, lasts a very, very long time, and it's really been crucial in delivering me that fight. Over here, the Eyes of the Desert are continuing to just sort of sit in and fire their shots in, but now, unfortunately, with the Nehekara Horsemen, God, that they were just taken out so quickly, and even though they've taken out this unit of Blood Knights, this unit of Necropolis Knights now isn't long for the world, and I'm not really making too many inroads in terms of fighting on the with Cetra against the Strigoi Vampire Lord. I'm basically going to lose this unit of Necropolis Knights. So I see these guys pulling back, and I decide to just screen out with my my Skeleton Warriors and try and just get the value here. Try and work down the Strigoi, work down the Varghulf, but I just don't seem to be hitting with many attack animations. I don't know whether it's just RNG or whether my attack animations were getting blobbed up on other sort of Vampire Counts infantry. But yeah, just no real damage, no work being done. Cetra's taken an absolute beating. The Varghulf's healthy. The Strigoi Vampire Lord is basically full health. And at this stage, he's managed to stabilize these Blood Knights, but they are pretty beaten up. But this one's still 44 unit models and 94 kills, many of which are actually, probably most of which are that unit of Nehekara Horsemen, but are also that unit of Necropolis Knights, which they've pulled out. So my Summoned Ushabti here are kind of sort of just trying to help Cetra, but I'm just getting overwhelmed at this stage. I don't have any real, I don't have really any potential to deal with these Blood Knights now. You know, both units of my Necropolis Knights are really bashed up. Eyes of the Desert will get beaten 1-on-1 against Blood Knights. They do have obviously some armor piercing and anti-large, but you see here the Varghulf and the Strigoi have just absolutely bullied, and even with the Nero's Incantation of Protection, there's just not enough I can do to keep Cetra alive. That Strigoi has really, really hunted him. Oh, a nice Scab Scrath going through the line here and clipping my Tomb Guard with Halberds. Another one going down, so he's been really on point, my opponent here. The White Kings likewise, just taken no damage, and with obviously Cetra dying, my my powerhouses in the Necropolis Knights being so low, that's going to be army losses for the Tomb Kings. I just have nothing that can overcome the single entities and the Lord for the Vampire Counts here. So a really strong game by my opponent here, Totentanz. I've played a couple of times against Totentanz on ladder over the stretch, sort of playing the game, and he's a very solid opponent. So I thought I had the tools when I first saw his army. I thought I had the tools here to get the job done. Obviously, the Necropolis Knights aren't the dedicated anti-large variant, but they do have the obviously just generally better stats, and they still have armor piercing. So they're not a bad matchup for the Blood Knights. And I was able to sort of just sacrifice those Nehekara. I mean, they got 0 kills. They did not kill a single Blood Knight, and they died in about 20 seconds, which is to be expected. But it did sort of halt, at the very least, it did halt that rear charge from that second unit of Blood Knights and allowed one of my units to get through. And obviously, with the buffs I'd popped on them, they got a pretty good engagement there. So, not unhappy with how they performed. But the Tomb Guard probably just couldn't quite get enough damage into the Strigoi. The Blood Knights just avoided them. And Settra and the Eyes of the Desert, sort of in the main fight in there, just couldn't get any meaningful damage into the Varghulf or into the Strigoi Vampire Lord. Obviously, with that Ghoul King of Ashuran, not racial ability, bloodline ability, the Strigoi Vampire Lord has a big burst of replenishment. It's basically it's almost as good as an Overcast Regrowth, and it's a free ability. I think he gets 2 or 3 charges of it, so it's hard to kill this guy, particularly with the mobility and being able to get up in the sky, and obviously the Tomb Kings here not having sort of a sharp-tipped great bow or anything like that to sort of screen him out and deal damage from afar. I just couldn't get any meaningful damage into him. The White Kings obviously did their thing with their Scab Scrates and just sort of buffed out the infantry fight. Like I said at the start, Nehekara warriors dealt with zombies, but that's about it. So yeah, I don't know. I probably need to watch this again and just see how it was. I felt like I got a couple of good engagements with my Necropolis Knights. Obviously, whenever you come up against vampire counts, you expect to see Blood Knights. They're just that good. But yeah, Settra just wasn't himself today. He got completely outclassed by the Strigoi and the Varghulf. But a great game nonetheless from the Totentanz in a undead on undead matchup, which can be pretty grindy. But this one was pretty fierce scrap. So fun game to play. Hope you enjoyed watching it, and we'll be back soon with more. Take care.